thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Hey folks, Chris Kramer with Bill Kramer GM. And the best place to listen to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey is inside a brand new vehicle from Bill Kramer GM. And I want you to know we've got 10 times the amount of inventory on the ground as we did this time last year, and darn near all of them are discounted. So shop us online at BillKramerGM.com or visit us at the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd. We'll make it easy and take great care of you.
Hey there, business owners. Do you feel lost in a sea of numbers, struggling to navigate your day-to-day accounting? At Lighthouse CPAs, they specialize in guiding businesses to make more money and keep more of what you make. From bookkeeping to tax planning, they've got you covered. Plus, with their user-friendly software, managing your finances has never been easier. Spend less time on paperwork and more time growing your business. Call Lighthouse CPAs 850-785-5254.
Reliable Copy Products is proud to be the exclusive dealer in Northwest Florida for Kyocera office equipment. Reliable Copy Products has been committed to providing professional, personalized service for the last 35 years. They understand that the right equipment does not always fall within today's budget requirements, so they offer several options for the equipment you need today for the growth you expect tomorrow. Call James Smothers at 784-6601. 784-6601. Reliable Copy Products on Harrison Avenue, just north of Bay High School.
Los Rancheros has been doing it right for 20 years. Los Rancheros brings a top-shelf dining experience to you with the opening of their beautiful new building. Watch all college and pro games on Los Rancheros' 14 large-screen TVs with great drink specials daily from 2 to 5 and during all the games. Los Rancheros, the place for live sports and great food on 23rd Street between Jenks and Harrison.
Did you know that fees associated with real estate closings are virtually the same from one title company to the next? So what sets South Oak Title apart? Effective communication, customer service, expertise, and technology. If you're buying or selling real estate, refinancing a residential or commercial property, tell your realtor you want to close with South Oak Title. South Oak Title, with locations across the Southeast, including Panama City Beach, Inlet Beach, Destin, and Fort Walton Beach. Visit them online at southoaktitle.com.
Turf Pro Lawn and Pest Control. They take pride in caring for their customers' property by providing lawn and whole house pest control. Whether you have roaches or any other unwanted bugs in your home, Turf Pro has you covered. Or if your lawn needs weed control, fertilize, insect control, Turf Pro has you covered by providing custom treatments to meet your property's needs. No property is the same, so why should it be treated that way? Turf Pro, where the blue and yellow trucks make your lawn green. Call 850-890-5820.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota. ESPN Northwest Florida. It's the next evolution of Sports Talk Radio. The biggest stories and the biggest reactions.
Now.
And now, we're taking...
With the first pick.
This is the last ball you got to bat.
The Inside Drive. From college to the pros. Interviews with the newsmakers, sports betting, your phone calls, and more. And now, The Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey. Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios on ESPN Northwest Florida.
And good Wednesday morning. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe along the beautiful Forgotten Coast. And we are live on streaming today. The internet is back up and running, and I hope it lasts all the way through. A little area outage yesterday, but you can watch, listen, all that good stuff on Facebook, YouTube, X, all that. Just follow us, like, subscribe, comment, share, do all those wonderful wonderful things. We appreciate you very, very much. And, of course, download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. That one, 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. Give us a call today. Just me and DJ Davey Crockett hanging out. We do have Keith Fleming at the top of the hour. We're going to mix it up with a little bit with him today. We've got a little NFL fantasy talk. It's hard to believe, but we're getting ever so close to the start of both college football and the NFL football seasons. So not only are we going to talk a little NFL fantasy action, I think he wants to go over undervalued players. We're going to also pivot to a big golf tournament, which is the Scottish Open. That's always the big one leading up to the Open Championship, one of the bigger non-majors, non-signature events. It's actually hosted by the DP World Tour, but a lot of big names playing in that one as they prepare for the Open. I almost said I called it the British Open, but it's the Open Championship. Very, very confusing there. We'll start with, I got to give some kudos to the Dolphins flag football team last night. We had a little rain, little fun, little action, and we ended up coming up short. A little tough. Don't want to make excuses. We only had 6, missing 4 starters, but all good. Kudos to the Dolphins. Highly athletic, great coach, good friend, and it was tough. The kids hung in there, and I could feel it was intense. It was intense.
Yeah, they took care of business last night, so all kudos and congratulations go to them, and we'll just get back to the lab, build back better, eh?
Yeah, hopefully not like currently in our country,
no,
but yeah,
like actually build back
like
better.
actually get better. Yeah, no, that'd be good. That'd be good. But hey, a lot of fun. We even had some rain come through during the game, which is always a good time. Always a good time.
That was a nice surprise.
Well, as I went back and looked at some of the videos, looking out in the background, I was like, yep, looked like it was going to rain.
Yeah, no doubt. And we were like the only team out there still playing at that point in time.
It was kind of weird. The 8 o'clock game, there was only one of them, and it was like just us, the parents, the coaches, and the refs. We're just kind of hanging out playing some football.
Yeah, you're used to kind of hearing a lot of noise in the background and everything, and it was silent, especially with the kids kind of being down and having to play Ironman football, which was good for them.
Absolutely. That's why the kids, when they get older, Ryan and Liam, hopefully they write in their yearbook, because I would have done this too, is that my dad always told me to drink more water. I should have drank more water, and they're tired of me saying it. I say it all the time, and when I say drink water, I mean don't chug like 3 bottles in a row. You just got to constantly drink water when you're doing. And as they get older, I think they'll realize that a little more. But
I don't know.
And I go back to when I was a kid. I can remember drinking soda and all that stuff, and just thinking you could just keep going and going. But hey, it's just it's one of those things you just kind of realize, and they probably get tired of me hearing or saying it, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully they can flip the switch there. A lot of random stuff, fun stuff to go through today. We're going to have some fun talking Euro Cup, talking USA basketball. The EA Sports College Football Top 100 just came out this morning. So I think we're going to start with that, which is kind of funny. We're putting a top 100 in video game. But when the hype is this big and you haven't had this game in 10-ish years, I guess it's one of those things that they're going to keep talking about. That's for sure. I'm just going to rock with the top 10 to start. And again, this is the EA Sports College Football ratings that they got. We talk about Madden ratings all the time, so it just kind of flies right in with that. Number 1 ranked player in EA College Football from the University of Michigan. Probably a name you may not know unless you're a big Michigan guy or an Ohio State fan. Will Johnson. He's a cornerback for Michigan. He is a 96 overall. He is the number 1 ranked total player in college football, EA Sports. So there you go. Will Johnson, Michigan, Big Ten. Next up from the SEC, probably a name you don't know unless you're an LSU fan. That's Will Campbell. He's a left tackle, another 96 overall, looking pretty good there. Ollie Gordon from
Oklahoma
State, halfback, 96 overall, 90 on the speed. What is the second category here? Acceleration, 97, and awareness, 97.
There you go. He's a reason why I think Oklahoma State's got a great opportunity to win the Big 12 next year. Utah's kind of the prohibitive favorite. Doak Walker Award winner last year. So, I don't mind that rating at all.
There you go. Next, you're going to have, I believe this is a right edge rusher from the SEC, from Tennessee. That's James Pierce Jr., the top edge rusher in the top 100 there with EA Sports College Football 25. He's a 95 overall, so looking pretty good there. This is a name we definitely know from the Ohio State University. 95 overall, 5th ranked player in EA Sports College Football. That's Caleb Downs, the free safety. He was a transfer, right?
Yeah, from Bama.
Yep, that's right. That's why I know that name.
Yeah, exactly. So, I wish you would have stayed and stuck around to see how it was going to work out with Kalen DeBoer, but he's up there at Ohio State, so we'll see how he does.
Just the world of college football that we live in nowadays. Very much like free agency in the NFL without the contracts yet. Number 6 on this list, they have him listed as a wide receiver, but I wonder if you'll be able to play both ways with this gentleman. Travis Hunter, 95 overall, 90s all the way through. He does have a 64 in, let's see what that is, probably. STR, strength. Throwing him some shade there on the strength category with the 64 in that one.
I feel like 64 is a good one for a wide receiver.
Yeah, because they're not. I guess your offensive linemen and all that would be a little bit bigger on the strength. But I wonder if you'll be able to play him as a corner as well. And
he'll be on both sides of the ball.
There you go. But a wide receiver in the top 10 on EA Sports College Football. Next from Georgia, the free safety Malachi Starks, 95 overall. And then on the back to the Big 10, got a couple more in there. So really the Big 12 has got, looks like 2 in the top 10. The rest are SEC and Big 10. Looks like Big 10's got 1, 2, 3, 4. SEC has got 4, and then the Big 12's got 2. So that's
Thanks, so nobody from the ACC.
Nobody from the. I'll scroll up and see where our first ACC player lands. But again, Malachi Starks, free safety from Georgia, 95 overall. Next is the defensive tackle Mason Graham from the University of Michigan, 95 overall. Halfback, another transfer to the Ohio State University. Halfback, 95 overall. Who you got, David Hayes? Quinshawn Junkins, the transfer from Ole Miss. So, and then rounding out your top 10, the right guard from Georgia, that is Tate Ratledge. So he is your another 2 offensive linemen in the top 10, looking good there. Let's see, trying to find the first ACC is going to be at number 15. That's a right outside linebacker from Clemson University. That's Barrett Carter is coming in, and he's in the top 15, so that's looking good. Next ACC goes all the way up to number 22, and that is the halfback out of the University of North Carolina, Omarion Hampton. So 2 in the top 22, not bad there for the ACC. And then the next ACC, I don't see any Florida State players. So let's see. While I'm in here, I might as well do it. Got a bunch of other stuff, but we can see where the first Florida State player is here on this top 20, top 100 list. Excuse me. All right, Florida State. Woo! Wow, I'm still going up. Ooh, Old Dominion's got one in there at 50, right outside linebacker from the Sun Belt Conference, getting in there in the top 100. Still no Florida State player in the top 50, so let's scroll back down to 51. Ohio State, Oklahoma, Cincinnati. Woo, man. You got SMU's in there before FSU.
Hey, they're going to be playing each other. I believe they're playing in SMU.
Ooh, in SMU.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting for Florida State.
All right. Haven't seen a Florida State Seminole yet. Not that that means anything. I'm just pointing it out. That's all we're doing here. All right, going. Now we're 75 through 100. Let's see. ACC. The U's got one. Oregon. First Oregon. Oh, okay. First Florida State coming in at 87. Left edge rusher Patrick Payton from Florida. 90 overall. So, I mean, a lot of these guys all have the same rankings, but then all the other agilities and strength and speed and acceleration kind of round out where they fall. Quarterback from Liberty, another only Conference USA in the top 100 is Kadon Salter. He's a 90 overall. Liberty University there. And one more Conference USA in the top 100, the 100th ranked player. That's Quentin Cooley, another one from Liberty University.
There you go.
If you want to find out more information about that, you can just go to easports.com, find EA Sports College Football, and it'll probably just be on their homepage. So real easy to find there. That's for sure. But hey, we're on the precipice here. A week from Friday for the general public.
Yeah,
as they would say, unless you've done the upgrade ones and stuff like that. So
or just get EA Play.
EA Play. There you go. That's another way to do it. That's for sure. Did want to mention, we're talking about Florida State. Did want to mention, I thought this was pretty cool from DJ Uiagalelei. Did I get that right?
Uiagalelei.
Uiagalelei.
Yeah.
That's gonna roll off the tongue by the time the season starts. That's for sure. He said yesterday he was honored to be invited by the conference to represent Florida State at this year's ACC kickoff. The experience of attending that event in 2021 and 2022 is among the highlights of my time in college, and I appreciate being viewed as one of the conference's top players heading into the season. However, I strongly feel that Florida State should be represented by the players that were part of last year's ACC championship team. The players who helped put this program back on top of the ACC should have the opportunity to be recognized for their contributions. This team is more than its quarterback, and I am excited for my teammates who will experience this fantastic event.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday. I think that it's a cool move by him, but Tyler Bishop had a good point. You know, this isn't really about last year's team. This is about this year's team. So if you were asked to go, even if you did it twice with Clemson or whatever, if that's what Florida State wants to put out or who the ACC wants to highlight there for Florida State, then it's a great... that should have been saved for the locker room only, though. You're putting it out there on social media.
It almost looks like you're trying to get attention
type stuff. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
that's a tricky one.
We'll see, man. I honestly, like, DJU had a decent year over there at Oregon State because they had a great defense. We're going to see how it is this year.
Because he struggled at Clemson. I mean, struggled for Clemson.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, you know what I mean? He struggled for what they expect at Clemson.
Right.
Obviously, he goes to Oregon State, tries to kind of get that going again. Now he's back in the ACC and playing for Florida State, coming off an ACC championship and what a lot of people said was a snub for the college football playoff. So a lot of pressure on his shoulders to lead that team back right where they were. You got 12 spots to get in now, but obviously those top 4 are certainly coveted. So we'll see what happens with DJU.
We shall see, man. I really hope that it's not a letdown year for Florida State.
Man, with everything else,
I don't know if Miami and Florida, are going to be able to pick up the slack there.
Hey, UCF could be the top dog, Randy Pittman,
we'll
the rest
see.
of the crew over there.
I got him as a contender there for the Big 12.
There you go. Big 12 is going to be fun this year. It's going to be kind of a little more wide open, a lot more teams in. The big powerhouses are certainly gone now.
Yes, sir.
Speaking of Florida State, and again, we're just kind of going random here in this first segment, but it ties into everything we talk about. I had, ironically, really weird, my high school golf coach for my junior and senior year, he texted me and a couple other guys that played on the golf team every once in a while, and he had confused Luke Clanton with Miles Russell. Miles Russell was the 15-year-old that had 2 top 25s on the Korn Ferry Tour, where Luke Clanton is a junior at Florida State University. We talked a lot about him when he was competing for the national championship, and they were just 1 point away from winning that and ended up losing to Auburn in the finals there. But he's got some exemptions onto the PGA Tour, and we've talked about his last 2 weeks on the PGA Tour. Not only has he got 2 consecutive top 10 finishes, his second one, he was in the top 2. He was tied for second in that event. So long story short, my golf coach was like, why, imagine if he would have turned pro and, you can make all this money and all that. Well, I think a lot of people were asking him about that. So he was interviewed yesterday, and in response to why he is not turning pro is he basically said, I want to win a national championship. It's pretty plain and simple. All those guys back home in Florida are brothers to me, and that's my duty right now is to go back and try to win a first ever national championship for the Florida State golf program. So I also think he knows he's going to skyrocket up those PGA Tour U rankings, something that's only been around for the last couple of years, and gets an opportunity for the top college golfers to get an exemption on the PGA Tour. But I thought that was some cool stuff from Luke there, letting him know that he wants to go back to FSU. Obviously, he's got the talent to compete on the PGA Tour too. His first ever PGA Tour starts, he goes top 10 in both of them and finishes tied second in the second one. That's pretty incredible. But good stuff there from Luke, I thought. So
yeah.
All right. That's all I got on that.
Forte.
No, I know. I just thought it was cool that he was doing that. But a little more of your forte. We got a little basketball game coming up tonight. We haven't talked a lot about basketball. You got USA basketball taking on Canada, and the reason why we bring that up is because is this a gold medal preview game? We talk about the USA team and how loaded they are and all that stuff. But have you seen the Canadian men's basketball roster for the Paris Olympics? Good thing you haven't. Team Canada, which plays USA tonight in a scrimmage, I think it's 9:30 Central Time on FS1. Ooh. Yeah, a little late, maybe in Western Canada. I don't know. Anyway, some of the guys on Canada that you may not know, Kelly Olynyk and Dwight Powell are the bigs. The wings, Dylan Brooks, Lugents Dort, RJ Barrett, Nickel Alexander Walker, Trey Lyles. Your guards, Andrew Nembhard, Jamal Murray, and SGA.
Okay.
So you got some players in there. That's for sure.
I always forget that SGA is Canadian.
Yep, absolutely. You just don't really, when you think NBA players, you just don't think Canada.
No.
Now, a lot of those other guys are people.
I think Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah.
And he's American.
Yep. And
pulled out.
And ironically, he just pulled out. He'll be replaced by Derek White. So that'll be good. But your 5 shortest odds to win gold in Paris. You've got Greece at plus 2,400. They obviously have Giannis. Serbia plus 1,600. Excuse me. Plus 1,600 with Jokic. Sorry.
Nicola.
And then France plus 1,600 as well. You know who they have?
Wemby and I don't know.
Rudy Gobert.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Rudy Gobert. So they got the little Twin Towers.
That's it. Twin Towers. I don't know if they got any guard play, but we'll find out. And then Canada coming in second favorite at plus 1,100. USA is obviously a heavy favorite, as they always are in the Olympics games. They're currently minus 470. And that comes with the... I know, it's just no value.
Give me like a plus 475, and then we can make something happen.
Right, minus 470. That's terrible. Bet $100 to win 47. But hey, I guess that's how the big gamblers make their money. But all it takes is losing a couple of those here and there, and that's tough. But obviously, the USA it has a great team. They've got LeBron, Kevin Durant, AD, Devin Booker, Bam Adebayo, Joel Embiid, Tyrese Halliburton, Drew Holiday, Steph Curry. Obviously, we just talked about Kawhi's pulled out. Derek White's taking his place, Jason Tatum, and then, of course, the Ant-Man on that team. So that's a pretty spectacular talent team, that's for sure.
We'll see if they can put their egos aside and play some team ball and get the job done, man. They need to.
That is always the biggest thing when it comes to USA basketball and team ball. And Olympic basketball is a different style of basketball, and that's when we finally figured out how to start winning again back in, 96? They completely changed the way they had to play basketball. The NBA game is completely different than the international game, so it's one of those things you got to be ready for. You got to be ready for. A couple big soccer matches happened yesterday. A lot of fun. The first game, obviously we didn't see the...
92 was the dream team.
92, gotcha. There, man, time 32 years ago.
Yeah,
jeez, that just took me back. That's for sure. Well, anyway, update on the European Championship. Had a pretty intense game yesterday afternoon. You had Spain and France. Kylian Mbappe came up short as France did get the first goal of the game, but then about 10 minutes later, Spain responded with a beautiful ball and what ended up being the youngest player to ever score a goal in the European Championship, 16, I think they said he was 361 days old.
Yeah.
So he turns 17 here coming up on Saturday, so the day before the finals there. But Spain got it done. They scored 2 goals within about I think 7 or 8 minutes, and then the rest was history for the rest of the game. France tried to put a little push on there in the end, but Spain ended up being too strong, and they will play in the final for the winner of the England-Netherlands game, which we'll talk about in the final segment. And then on the Copa America side, I think everybody probably saw this one coming. It would have took a lot from Canada to beat Argentina, but Argentina shut them down 2-0. They will play the winner of Colombia and Uruguay. That game's coming up later tonight. Again, we'll talk about that later. But
yeah, their social media monster though got Drake put $300,000 to win $2.88 million, and the Argentinian social media put out a picture that says "Not like us." Not with us as well. Nice. So playing off the Kendrick Lamar beef, and he just released a video to that song as well, which was I think it's got like over 115 million views already. He did a concert probably 2 weeks ago, and the crowd had him redo that "Not Like Us" song like 6 times. Yeah, so nice. It's been pretty popular.
Sounds like it, but unfortunately the Canadians, their run came to an end, but a great run to make it to the semifinals for the Canadian national team, no doubt about it. I think the Americans would be quite happy to just make it through a knockout round game.
To a knockout round game.
This year. To a knockout round game. That game against, it felt like a knockout round game because we had to win. But we'll go ahead and take our first break. We'll be right back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
The Atlanta Braves play here.
Tonight, we're staying up past our bedtime.
We have liftoff. A 3-run home run by Count It.
It's the Atlanta Braves at the Arizona Diamondbacks. We'll bring you all the action from Chase Field in Phoenix. Coverage coming up at 7:25. First pitch at 8:40. Right here on your exclusive home for the Atlanta Braves on the Gulf Coast.
ESPN Northwest Florida. Good morning. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Definite thunderstorms and some sun this afternoon and evening with a wind around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-southwest and the high of 87. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 81. Tomorrow, a high around 90 and some sun and possible thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Y'all listen up. Let me tell you something about group meals from Rudy's Barbecue. It's got all you need for all the folks you gotta feed, smoked meat, sides, and more. There's everything down to the tablecloth, just like the one that you see at the store. At a bridal shower, it's better than flowers. And a long distance meeting, it'll pass the hours. It'll feed all the cousins at a family function. It's better than potluck at a church luncheon. Next time you need to feed 10 or more, call and order a Rudy's group meal.
Next in line.
Hi folks, I'm Tracy at Tracy's Fine Jewelry. Santa called and he asked me to help everyone get ready for Christmas and avoid the stress and rush. So we've stocked the store and slashed the prices. All sterling silver jewelry is 25% off. All silver chains, pendants, earrings, bracelets, and rings. Also, our entire stock of Boulevard watches, 20% off. And we are offering free 6 months layaway. Tracy's Fine Jewelry takes the stress out of the holidays. So shop now where Santa shops during our Christmas and July sale at Tracy's Fine Jewelry.
Back to the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios.
It's alive! Look alive! We're alive!
On ESPN Northwest Florida.
Welcome back. We appreciate you tuning in to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Just me and DJ Davey Crockett hanging out. Give us a call, 850-215-6290. Top of the hour, we'll be joined by Keith Fleming. He's going to be talking about his undervalued NFL fantasy picks, as well as previewing the Scottish Open and his official lineup for DraftKings. It's a big one coming up. It's a lot of big names in it. Rory's in it. Ludwig's in it. Jay's boy, Victor Hovland's in it. We got Morikawa. We got Schauffele. We got the whole crew minus Scotty Scheffler. I think he's hanging out at home on duty. Dad duty, that is. Hopefully he's still getting a little chance to, but maybe he'll get one of those strollers that you see people. They make strollers that you can put golf bags in nowadays.
There you go.
It's wild. It's wild stuff. You put your bag in there, you push your kid, you play golf.
I'd like to see him with a backpack.
Ooh, that'd be tough.
Yeah.
That'd be tough. Back or front?
I would say it might be safer for the baby on the back, right?
I would think. It's kind of like, when you're a lady, you got to learn how to play that way, and maybe the baby will simulate that.
There you go.
It's just when he's coming through with all that club head speed, hopefully that baby's head's got some support, because might get a little whiplash action there. Maybe not the safest thing.
Yeah, you don't want to end up getting shaken baby syndrome.
Jay Henley's tip of the week. When you put him in a Baby Bjorn on the front, slow your tempo
That's
down.
That's what it's called, a Baby Bjorn?
That's one of the brands. Yeah,
oh, okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
One of the brands. But yeah, that'd be good for chipping tempo. Keep you nice and smooth. Keep your head down.
Well, I think Scotty needs that kind of a handicap against him, right?
That's right.
Slow that club head speed down, son.
Yep. Well, we'll see what he does when he picks back, because he hasn't really played in a tournament in a while. Pretty much since the what? That would have been the U.S.
Travelers?
Open. No, did he play in the Travelers?
I believe he won the Travelers.
That's right.
Because they had the whole.
Yeah, that was the last signature event. Yep.
And they had the
protesters. Yep. Whew, that seems like a long time ago. It really wasn't. It was a few weeks, but Anyway, speaking of a sport where it's just you playing, we'll give a quick Wimbledon.
Table tennis.
Yeah, that's true. You're right there. You want to give us a table tennis update?
No, I don't. It's just the same guys playing over and over and over.
That's wild. It's wild.
It is. I mean, when you do it for for a few hours at a time, you do realize that they do get a break.
Yeah.
It's not. It's just that all the names look the same.
A lot of obs and that kind of stuff.
A lot of obs. I believe it's Czechoslovakian or whatever.
Oh, okay, so that's
Czech
like the
Republic,
league that they're playing in.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's Table Tennis Elite, TT Elite, actually.
so
But
that's
they do
what
have a Czech league as well.
Man, when are we going to start? Well, we have nothing in America like that, huh?
No. Not that I know. I mean,
it could have
not that we're
started in
betting
the 60s and the 70s with Forrest Gump. He could have kicked it off.
Yeah.
But it would have been. I would have bet on Forrest every time.
Every single time. I would have been running with him.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All the way to Greenbow, Alabama. Anyway, quick update on the Wimbledon action on the men's singles side. Yesterday, we did talk about the number 1 seed Sinner was taken down by Medvedev. He will move on to the semifinals to face Carlos Alcaraz, who won yesterday against Tyson Paul. Not in straight sets, but ended up losing the first set, but then winning the next 3. We've got the other semifinals going on right now. Not sure what this means, but Novak Djokovic ended up advancing to the semifinals. He'll face the winner of Fritz and Musetti. That's the last American in there. Currently, Fritz won the first set 6-3, lost the second set in tiebreaker 7-6 with a 7-5 tiebreaker score, and is currently down in the third set 3-1. So if we want an American in the semifinals, he's our last hope. Like I said, Novak Djokovic, he was supposed to play Al de Minaur, and it said final walkover. So maybe the gentleman had to withdraw for an injury or something like that.
Yeah.
Walkover is a weird word to use, though.
I thought they normally call it like retiring.
That's what I thought, too. Let me check this out real quick. What is a walkover in tennis? All right, including the one Novak Djokovic got. All right, we're about to find out what a walkover is live here on the Inside Drive. We'll have some fun. Just semifinals. However, instead of celebrating a once final point was played, De Moor looked concerned. He felt that he'd injured himself during the last few points, and after further tests, his worst fears came true. The Australian suffered a major hip injury, which puts his Olympic participation in jeopardy. He played some fantastic tennis all year long and even beat Djokovic in the beginning of the season at the United Cup, but unfortunately the walkover just means it was a major injury and he had to withdraw. I don't know why they can't just call it a withdrawal due to injury.
Withdrawal, retirement. Why do we got so many different words for it?
Everybody's got to be different, right?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know. Anyway, so it will be Djokovic playing the winner of the Fritz Musetti match, and the other semifinal is already set underway.
Oh, it's not counted as a win or defeat for either player.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Didn't have that in that article. I like that. So retired counts as a win, and the other player is, because I think you retire when for some reason like that, but you've already played. That's why there was no score listed on this particular match. Over on the women's side of things, you've got 2 semifinals set to get underway tomorrow, early in the morning. You got it there for the retired?
Retirement occurs during the match, often after one or more sets have been completed. In summary, a walkover happens before the match begins, while a retirement happens during the match.
Gotcha.
So, but weren't they playing, though?
That's what that article made it sound like.
So that was a retirement, then. You guys got your stuff wrong, and this is why I dislike tennis so heavily.
Wimbledon. Come on, man.
Oh, my goodness.
That's why
Never.
That's why Augusta National is in America. Wimbledon's over there in England.
They do got the U.S. Open over here.
They do,
right?
yeah. U.S. Open, French Open, Australian Open, and then Wimbledon. Wimbledon has got to be different. Can't be the England Open.
There you go.
Anyway, so on the women's side, I'll try to pronounce these names. Early in the morning, actually start late at night tonight. You've got Krejcikova versus Rybakina, and Vekic versus Paolini. A lot of no Americans in the. We had one American left.
Was that Coco Gauff?
No, Coco Gauff got upset earlier in the round of 16. It was Navarro. Emily Navarro lost to Paolini 6-2, 6-1. So no Americans there, but the semifinals get underway, and the final will be on the 13th, which is Saturday, and then the men's final will be on Sunday at I want to say morning time for us, of course, because it's Wimbledon. Let's see when the final is. It'll be 8 a.m. Eastern Eastern time, so you can wake up on Sunday morning, have some brunch. You know, if you go to church early, you won't be able to see it, but if you go to church later, you might be able to see it. But these matches last, 2.5, 3 hours, sometimes even longer. I think the
matches, dude?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my gosh.
Yesterday, the Sinner Medvedev broke a record for longest match in Wimbledon history. It was just over 4 hours. You talk about hydration and stamina and that. I mean, that's...
I was about to say, like, hey, maybe I'll, try to tune into one of these finals and give it a fair shot. But no, I'm not sitting there watching balls go back and forth for hours.
Well, in that match, too, you had 2 sets that went to tiebreaker. And then I do remember, I believe it was the first set, maybe the second set. Actually, I think that was in the Alcaraz-Paul match that, when you score in tennis, it goes 15, 30, 40. And if you both get to 40, it's a deuce. And then one person has to get the advantage, and then you have to win. Well, that one match, it went to deuce, I think, 12 times in one game. So they were... you have to be in some serious good shape to play tennis like that. That's for sure.
That is true. There's no discounting their athleticism at all.
And it's just you, just like golf. Nobody
Unless
else.
you're playing doubles.
Yeah, that's true. Doubles are fun. The court's bigger because you get to go to the full line.
Yeah.
Which is neat. All right, American sport, baseball.
Woo!
Home run.
Thank goodness.
Yeah, sorry. I know.
I'm joking, man.
You know what? We can talk about cricket here next.
All right.
No,
here we go.
No. But there's a gentleman I want to talk about that is from Australia and could be the number 1 pick coming up on Sunday here in Major League Baseball. But we'll talk about the home run derby so far. Who is committed to playing in this fun, wonderful event? Gunnar Henderson from the Baltimore Orioles, the catcher. He's currently got 27 home runs.
Gunnar Henderson's shortstop.
Oh, shortstop.
Adley Rutschman.
I got both of them on my fantasy team. You'd think I would know that, but I got smoked last week. It was embarrassing. But this week,
Who did you play? Season of the Sticks or whatever?
I think so.
I think that's Nick Baldwin. Nick Baldwin. I credit you completely for me not even focusing on my team anymore. There was literally no point after about the 4th week seeing all the points he was putting up. Like, yeah, y'all have at it, brothers. I'll see what I could do without doing anything.
Yeah. Yep. Was it season? I think it was. Yep. I think he scored like 350 points. And I had my lowest week yet. But anyway, Gunnar Henderson, shortstop for the Orioles, 27 home runs. Longest home run was 430 feet. That was June 10th against the Rays. His hardest hit home run of 2024, I'm going to be like the guys on TV, 112.3 exit velo. Because velocity takes too long to say. That was April 20th.
Sounds cooler, too.
It does. Every time they say velo, I want to hear Velociraptor. That's what I think of when you say velo. But that's because...
Jurassic Park.
That's it, man.
That old mosquito came right here from Panama City.
It did. I bet it did.
No, seriously.
Really?
There's an article on that.
Dang.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
Yep.
I love fun facts. Mosquito in the movie came
like
from...
the one that's in that Ember or whatever?
Yeah. Tree sap. Amber. Yep. Scary. You never know. Dinosaurs could come back.
I mean, hey, that would be pretty cool. I think, I think we've got enough time surpassed that I don't think we're gonna have dinosaurs back. But if so, and Jurassic Park does play out, wow, just that'll be
be prepared.
Y'all are worried about zombies and whatnot. My goodness, I'd be much more worried about a dinosaur. But then again, hey, we might we might.
What could be the worst combination would be zombie dinosaurs.
Oh, a zombie dinosaur lips.
Scary stuff. Anyway, Gunnarsson, he was the AL Rookie of the Year last year. He belted 28 home runs. He's already got 27 this year, so he is going to appear in the Home Run Derby. Next, who I believe appeared last year, was Pete Alonso from the Mets. His longest home run of 2024 is 446 feet. That was June 4th against the Nationals. His hardest hit home run with an exit velo of 115.3 happened May 16th against the Phillies. This marks his 5th home run derby appearance. Next is Alec Baum from the Philadelphia Phillies. He's got 11 home runs so far this year. Longest is 427. Hardest hit, 106.8. That was probably the same home run, both against the Marlins on June 30th. Now, David, did they change up the home run derby rules a little bit this year?
Yeah, it's going to be kind of back to pitch count, essentially. You're only going to get 40 pitches.
Okay.
You get I believe it's 3 minutes in the first round, and there's not going to be any 1v8 or anything like that. It's going to be all 8 contestants.
So just totals again.
Yeah, and the first 4 or the top 4 home run hitters will move on to the next round, and then that's where it'll be seeded 1v4, 2v3.
So a little more like, I'll equate it to a golf side of things. Like when you play in a U.S. Amateur, you qualify for it. All 128 players are playing stroke play, and then they narrow it down to match play.
Yep.
Cool. I think I like that a little better.
It'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I really do miss the 10 outs way to go about it. I mean, yeah, they try to speed everything up, and it makes it really hard on the broadcast because you just got home runs flying because you got 3 minutes or 40 pitches, right? And last year, I don't believe that you had anyone who actually went over 43 pitches, so it's right there in that time limit.
So it could pretty much kind of be the same.
Yeah, but you're trying to get as many as you can out in 3 minutes, and so you just there's balls flying everywhere, and it doesn't really give you enough time to admire the home run, which is like the point of the home run derby.
Yep. Absolutely. Well, we'll see what happens. At least it gives the players an opportunity to not go up against somebody right off the gate that gets super hot and you're out just like that. So it's kind of more up to what you can do on an individual basis, of course, then until you get to the seeded part. Next from the Kansas City Royals is Bobby Witt Jr. He's got 15 home runs so far this year. His longest home run of 2024 is 468 feet. That happened May 21st against the Tigers. His hardest hit home run was 112 miles an hour against the Rockies back on July 7th. This is, I think, is his first home run derby appearance. Doesn't say. As fast as I
would imagine that's his first.
Yeah. Marcell Ozuna from your Atlanta Braves. He's got 23 total home runs so far this year. Longest home run, 446 feet, with an exit velo of 114.6. That happened back on April 12th, early in the season, against the Marlins of Florida. He's making his home run derby debut. What do you think about the Big Bear stepping out there?
I hope this doesn't break his swing, man. The home run derby is kind of outside of Juan Soto. It seemed like it fixed Juan Soto's swing every year. But with him having the forearm injury earlier and he's in a contract year, it makes sense for Juan Soto not to be swinging in this thing. I just hope that this doesn't break Marcell Ozuna's swing this year because he's been one of the highlights of the Braves offense.
He's been, without him, it's obviously he's been a big part of it. It's kind of kept us right where we, not as great as we'd like to be, but we're not completely falling off, and he's been a big part of that. Next is Jose Ramirez from the Cleveland Guardians. He's currently got
J-Ram getting in there.
Yeah, absolutely. He's also on my fantasy team.
There you go.
Longest home run he's got 23 total home runs so far this year. Longest is 436. That happened on June 28th against the Royals. Hardest hit 109.8. June 24th against the Orioles. With his first 40 home run season career in play, he will step into the home run derby for the second time after participating back in 2022. He came up short against Juan Soto in the first round despite hitting 17 home runs. So there's an example of a gentleman that might have benefited from the format for this year's home run derby.
I'm just seeing the score last night from the Phillies and the Dodgers, man, and they got Bryce Harper back, I believe, and Schwarber. They beat him 10-1.
I saw it was like 5-0 through 5 or 3 or something like that.
Oh my goodness, man! Slow down, Phillies. Slow down.
Yeah, I think now it's the wild card race, right? That we really got to focus on in the second half.
Yeah, I mean,
are they catchable?
Everyone's catchable.
True.
Everyone's catchable. So let's see. It was 7.5 yesterday. Yeah, no doubt. So the Phillies are up 8.5. I don't know what the Braves' lead is in the wild card, but I'll check that out real quick.
I know they are definitely leading it. Where is I know the name of the field. Is it out in...
Arlington?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's going to be for the home run derby?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and they got trash uniforms, man. Oh, my goodness.
That's kind of been the theme so far this year, unfortunately.
Braves are 4.5 up right now, leading the Cardinals by 4.5, and then the Cardinals have a 1.5 game lead on the Padres, who have a 1.5 game lead on the Mets and 2.5 on the Diamondbacks. So it feels pretty safe right now, especially.
But like you said, it can.
Yeah, I mean, you have a bad August, September. Which, so far the Braves, 4 games in a row to this point. So hopefully they can keep it rolling.
They're winning more than they're losing right now, which is kind of the name of the game.
12 games over 500, man. The offense is starting to get it going again. They've got 390 runs scored on the year, which, look at the Padres. They've got 440 on the year. So, but they've only given up 326 runs. So the pitching has been phenomenal for the Braves this year.
Yeah, which is good. And kind of the part last year that was bouncing around a little bit. Anyway, we'll go ahead and take a quick break. When we get back, I want to talk about the best villains in sports history. Me and Bill were talking about that on the way back yesterday, and I thought it would be a good thing to discuss today. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida.
ESPN Northwest Florida, your home for Mike Greenberg.
I saw this happen in an airport yesterday. If you put pineapple on a pizza, you are welcome to enjoy it if you choose to. But just be aware, what you are eating is no longer pizza. That's disgraceful. It's something else entirely, and candidly, you should be ashamed of yourself.
Greeny. Weekdays on ESPN Northwest Florida.
Bestway Portable Buildings has been your portable building specialist since 1989. Before you invest your hard-earned money someplace else, owner Jason Mulder invites you to stop by Bestway and get a quote on just about any size building. And whether you buy with Bestway or not, it's worth the trip just to meet Bestway Buddy. Say hello, buddy. Good boy. Bestway Portable Buildings, just north of Harts Marine on 231, and online at bestwayportablebuildings.com. The best in portable, period. Tell them Buddy sent ya.
Love a great deal? This is the big one. The Big One sales event is going on now, and you can get 3.99% APR plus 90 days until you make your first payment on Camry's new elevated design. Make every drive count and get 2.99% on the stylish Corolla. Rule every adventure and get 2.99% on a new RAV4. Or enjoy the power and get 1.99% on the tough Tundra. Come see us for the big one at Panama City Toyota.
Offer ends July 31st. Visit PanamaCityToyota.com for details.
Man, is it hot. Not only is the weather hot, the savings on name brand Western wear at that boot store is sizzling. During their 60th anniversary celebration going on now. Shop the hot deals in air conditioning comfort and be amazed at the tremendous selections of Carhartt work clothes and Western wear available at that boot store. Open Tuesday through Thursday, 9 till 5. Friday and Saturday, 9 until 5:30. Next to Bill Berkey at 15th Street, Panama City. That boot store where God is good all the time.
From the fairway to the rough.
Was hoping to squeeze in 9 holes before this rain starts.
From the greens to the bunker.
Certainly, Your Eminency.
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay from the Bill Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studio.
The good Lord would never disrupt the best game of my life.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Before we dive into the best villains in sports history, I want to mention the potential number one prospect that may be drafted coming up this Sunday when the draft gets underway for Major League Baseball. And he's from the great country down under where David Hayes has been trying to find himself a kangaroo. So far unsuccessfully, but this could be an interesting thing for the country of Australia. Possibly being the best prospect in your country's history might hold a tremendous weight, but how does one handle the pressures of a sport for a nation more than 25 million? From here, it seems like the 22-year-old Australian baseball star Travis Bazzana relishes it. His rise, chronicled on a great article there on The Athletic, made him the most interesting prospect in this Sunday's MLB draft. There's not exactly a very deep history between Australia and baseball. Only 38 total Australians have played in Major League Baseball. It's thoroughly one of our favorite sports, a cricket country. So when he fell in love with baseball at 7 years old, he simply became the town's baseball kid, and he was obsessed. He's a very analytical guy. As a teenager, he would get in cuts at batting cages nearby and then go home and study pro swings on the MLB's website. Throughout his younger career, he played against older players, including a stint at 15 years old in Australia's top professional league. He hit 257 as a 50-year-old, all while playing cricket as well. He moved to the United States to play second base for Jay's favorite university, the Oregon State Beavers, where he blossomed into a huge star. He hit .407 this year with 28 homers and a 1.479 OPS. He is a maniac about improving his swim and has already meddled around with advanced analytics into his approach at the plate. The running gag was that if you were Bazana's roommate, your average would go up by 200. He also cooks steaks and fishes for everyone. Sign him up. He is number 2 on Keith Law's final top 100 prospect list ahead of Sunday's final round, but could very well be the number 1 pick by the Cleveland Guardians. So kind of a cool story coming out of the potential number 1 pick there of Australia. I just wanted to mention that, as obviously last year's number 1 pick, Paul Skeens, has come to fruition quite well and could be a good potential Rookie of the Year candidate. That is for sure. All right, Dave, let's have some fun with this one.
Let's do it.
I know some of these. I don't know. Well, I do know most of them. I just didn't realize this guy actually played professional soccer for us. But this is from an article from newarena.com. It's called The Biggest Villains in Sports History from earlier this year. So it's an actually article for this year. Anybody that comes on the top of your mind is biggest villains. Really, one of the only ones that I can think of that's on this list was very clear to me, and that was an NBA player by the name of Dennis Rodman.
Okay, because I was going to go Ron Artest.
That's a good one, too.
Meta World Peace. Let's see. I mean, so Dennis Rodman, obviously a big-time villain.
You got a tennis guy on here as well.
Oh, great. Yeah, we'll know that one.
You'll know the name.
Andre Agassi?
No,
Roger
he wasn't
Federer?
a villain. No, they weren't villains. Johnny McEnroe.
Oh, McEnroe. Yeah, I do know that name.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, though, I'm interested to kind of go through the list.
So the first one on here I said was Dennis Rodman, and everybody pretty much knows who Dennis Rodman is. Yep. I don't know if it's in order or not. I think it's the basketball one on here, but he was a 5-time NBA champion, 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, one of the best rebounders and defenders of all time, but he was also the NBA's greatest heel. Or butt, however you want to say it. He was known as the Worm. He played for the Bad Boy Pistons and then, of course, won 5 NBA championships with the Chicago Bulls. In addition to terrorizing opponent players, Rodman had villainous moments with non-players, including headbutting a referee and kicking a photographer in the groin. On and off the court, Rodman flew to Las Vegas during the NBA Finals, which infuriated the entire Bulls organization.
Yeah, but he was probably hanging out with Mike, too.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, didn't Mike have to go get him and bring him back or something like that?
Ooh,
I think I remember something along the lines of that in the documentary. But, and that's what's crazy. When you're as good as he was at defense, they had to kind of let him get away with some stuff. Do you think they would have won as many without him?
I mean, I think every good team needs kind of a villain like that. So, no, I don't. I mean, obviously Mike gets a lot of credit, but really without the additions of Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman, I don't think that franchise is as successful. I don't think that you're getting 2 3-peats out of them.
I think that's fair. Who would you say is, it's hard to compare because there will never be another Dennis Rodman, but in the current NBA, who would you say is the most close to Dennis Rodman?
Ooh, man. Dylan Brooks, maybe?
Yeah. What about, I'm drawing a huge blank on his name, the guy for the Warriors. Who's always,
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, I guess he would be one of the closer ones to Dennis Rodman.
No one's ever going to be Dennis Rodman, and I just don't think sports in this day and age will kind of allow that, so to speak, with social media and everything.
Angel Reese kind of has a villainous role.
Yeah, she definitely would probably be and embrace it.
Yeah, I like it.
It's you have to have that in sports. It's what brings parity. Vinnie Jones, do you know that name? I didn't know the name, but I know the face because he's been in a ton of movies, but I didn't realize that he was a professional soccer player, and he obviously turned actor, had a fair share of controversial incidents that earned him a spot on this particular list. He was known for being a headstrong, brash player on the pitch who would deploy dirty tactics on his opponents, such as overly rough tackles and punching in the groin. He received the quickest red card in English Premier Year history, only 3 seconds after the start of the match.
Nice.
Post-football retirement, he has channeled his Hardman persona into the acting screen, starring in such hit films as The Lock, Stock, and 2 Smoking Barrels. If you saw his face, you'd know who he is, because I wouldn't have known him by name. Have we mentioned already in tennis, Johnny McEnroe, always yelling at refs. Rumor had it when John McEnroe started getting angry, his flow turned into flames on his head, and his headband snapped off his head. One of the greatest tennis players of all time, McEnroe won 7 Grand Slams, 4 U.S. Open, 3 Wimbledon, and 9 Grand Slams in double. He earned the nickname Super Brat by the press in the 80s as a result of his on-court temper. The star often berated the chair umpire and yelled more than a howler monkey. Famously, McEnroe went off at an umpire at Wimbledon following a terrible call and uttered the phrase, "You cannot be serious." That's a phrase that we always hear with Johnny McEnroe, so certainly well deserving to be on the villain list, but had a lot of success as well, much like Dennis Rodman. You can probably speak to this more than I can. They have a pro wrestler on here, and that's Ric Flair.
Oh man, villain?
Yeah,
he was a heel. I can't really speak to it that well. That's Coach Brian Haddad. You can listen on Monday, and we'll ask why Ric Flair, or if Kyle Wright's on with us. I don't think he's going to be on with us this week. Because honestly, to me, he was more like a hero than a villain. So.
And I think a lot of people feel that way. Yep, absolutely. Woo was exactly it. The styling, profile, limousine riding, jet flying, kiss stealing, wheeling and dealing, son of a gun, Ric Flair. To be the man, you got to beat the man. In every woman's dream and every man's nightmare. The Nature Boy was in a category of his own during his wrestling career. The 16-time champ, Flair was not only one of the most skilled wrestlers of all time, but one of the best heels in the business has ever seen. Flair would use dirty tactics in the ring and would annihilate competitors on the mic.
Yeah, see, I just see these guys as heroes more so than villains, but maybe I just see, one of my favorite comic book characters, if you will, Spawn. So there you go. Hey, maybe I just like the villains.
People love villains. Just because you're a villain doesn't mean you're not likable.
Right, that's true. A likable villain is great.
On the baseball side of things, they included Roger Clemens.
Yeah,
on this
the
list.
Rocket for sure. He was there at the Braves game the other day because Cody Clemens plays for the Phillies. So, yeah, I would definitely count him as a villain. I guess you could throw Barry Bonds in there as well with the whole steroid issue, but
I guess more on the field. Roger Clemens was easy to hate during his playing career. He was dominant, hot-headed, and played for two of baseball's most loved/hated teams, the Red Sox and the Yankees. Clemens had a flamethrower for an arm and wasn't shy to throw in or at hitters. Famously, after a piece of Mike Piazza's broken bat landed near Clemens, the aggressive pitcher chucked the bat at Piazza. In addition to being an intimidator on the mound, Clemens' status as a villain was cemented by steroid allegations.
Yeah.
Chucking the broken bat.
That is golden right there.
It doesn't get, that's just pure emotional reaction.
I wonder if they have Nolan Ryan on there for the situation with Robin Ventura.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's another great documentary, that's for sure. On the football side of things, American football side of things, you had Terrell Owens. Fair?
Yeah, I guess so, especially with the, mooning of...
the mooning, the star, all those good things, but
Randy Moss definitely mooned. I think Terrell Owens did it, right?
I think he did too. I'm not 100% on that one. But unless you rooted for the team he was on, which I did when he was on the Niners, was likely toward the top of your list of NFL villains. Even fans and teammates of T.O. grew tired of his act. Owens is one of the greatest receivers of all time, but one of also the biggest divas in sports history. In 2006, Owens spat in the face of D'Angelo Hall during a game while playing for the Niners. T.O. raced twice to the star logo in an act of showmanship. Despite being an all-time player, Owens made many enemies around the league through his actions and words.
Yeah, I don't know if T.O. ever did, if he ever mooned anyone. I was thinking of when he was on the star no, that's Randy Moss.
Yeah,
so.
He just did the big, it's, again, you gotta love to hate. A couple more names. I won't go into the details, but Luis Suarez. Suarez. He was a soccer player.
Yeah, still is.
He still, wow.
Yeah, plays for Inter Miami in Argentina.
Well, there you go. So you knew that name.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Kind of a lot of those other guys were prior to my childhood. So.
That's fair. What do Mike Tyson and Luis Suarez have in common? It's easy to figure out.
I'm sure that they bit someone's ear off.
Absolutely. They both bit their opponents. Yes, that is the truth. Suarez is one of the best soccer players in the world. Over the past decade, has bitten opponents on 3 separate occasions.
Golly.
First, the Uruguayan star bit a PSV player in the shoulder in 2010, resulting in a 2-game suspension while playing for Liverpool. 3 years later, Suarez bit another player. This time, he was banned for 10 games. Finally, against Italy in the 2014 World Cup, Suarez beat Giorgio Giorgio Cellini on the shoulder, leaving clear bite marks. Suarez was banned from Uruguay's next 9 international matches.
Wow, that's right. He plays for Uruguay, not Argentina. I always get mixed up.
Similar colors, yeah.
Baby blue, yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So he's and he's still playing. I'm assuming he's probably playing.
I'm curious as to if he's injured though, because I don't think he was on the pitch for their previous game against Brazil.
Well, and if he was, playing, European football in 2010, that was 14 years ago. So he's got to probably be getting up there.
Yeah,
up there
and
in age.
Like I said, he plays for Inter Miami with Messi now. So
nice little combo there. Hopefully, he doesn't bite his teammates. Floyd Mayweather. What do you think about that one?
Yeah, I would say that he's villainous because a lot of people don't like the fact that he never really took the prime fights in the prime time.
His style of fighting too.
Yeah, because it's a booable brand of fighting because it's not like, we had Nate Diaz or Jorge Masvidal the other day.
Yeah.
It's just, they're throwing punches, whereas boxing has kind of moved to, as far as pro boxers go, trying to be on the defensive and stay away from punches.
Yeah, which was definitely his style. A couple more names on the list. You got John Rocker.
Absolute villain.
And he's been around in this area for quite some time. You've got Roger Goodell. I think that's probably a fair one.
You could throw all the commissioners in there. Yep. They're all villains. And not the good kind of villains. They're not Ric Flair villains.
No.
They're Oscar the Grouch villains.
Like, we just don't like you. Ron Artest. Got that in
world
there.
peace.
Absolutely.
There we go.
Yep. Meta Sanford and Ron Artest right there. Roddy Piper.
Oh, yeah. I liked him, too.
Yep. Here's another good one. Tanya Harding.
Yeah.
Back to the figure skating days with old Nance.
Yeah.
Old Nance. That was a tough look, that's for sure. Donald Sterling. He is the owner of the Clippers, or was the owner of the Clippers. Yeah. And I think we've talked about that story before. Conor McGregor also finds his name on this list.
I'm cool with him being a villain. Yeah, for sure.
Latrell Sprewell. That's a name I hadn't heard in a hot minute. Definitely on the villain side for sure. And then Jose Canseco.
Yeah, definitely got to be.
That's fair. That's totally fair. Zoltan Ibrahimovic, the soccer player.
Ibrahimovic.
Ibrahimovic?
That's...
Oh, yeah, you're right. That's a C, not an E on the end. Pronunciation's not my thing. Anybody who listens to the show knows that. Triple H, Alex Rodriguez, Bill Belichick.
Triple H.
Yeah,
he's got to be a villain, even though nowadays he's more of because he's running the creative and essentially running WWE. I think that he's more of kind of that hero these days. Yeah,
absolutely. And then they got Tom Brady, Vince McMahon, Mike Tyson, Barry Bonds. There you go. And that ends the villains in all of sports. I think it's pretty fair, pretty good list.
Yeah. No doubt.
Well, speaking of fair and good valued information, we get back. We'll be joined by Keith Fleming. We're going to talk some NFL fantasy football and then dive into the official lineup for the Genesis Scottish Open. We'll listen to the Inside Drive. We'll be right back.
ESPN Northwest Florida. The afternoon underdogs.
He allowed Kevin Holland to take him down. Kevin Holland doesn't take anyone down. And if you watch that fight, Kevin Holland struggled to take him down, but he fought and he got it. That's because Kevin Holland didn't take anyone down. So if you're going to let that man take you down, oh boy, this division is stacked with wrestlers. He's in trouble.
4 to 6 weekdays. 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida.
Good morning. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. Definite thunderstorms and some sun this afternoon and evening with a wind around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-southwest and the high of 87. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 81. Tomorrow, high around 90 and some sun and possible thunderstorms. This weather forecast is brought to you by Ellis Agency Insurance. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Are you tired of hearing 2 weeks when you call to get your boat worked on? Hey folks, it's Chris Kramer with Kramer Marine and Outdoor, and we'll get you in and back out on the water as quick as possible. We're a full-line Yamaha outboard dealer and Suzuki outboard dealer, and we have master-trained certified mechanics on site. So if it's just an annual service, electronics install, trolling motor install, or all the way up to a full repower, we can take care of you. So stop by and see us in the corner of Frankfurt and 23rd next to Bill Kramer GM, or call us at 850-851-0453.
Ellis Agency Insurance has been serving Panama City and Bay County for years. They offer a full line of affordable insurance coverage of all types. Many people are attracted to Ellis Agency Insurance because of their friendly, knowledgeable staff. Call independent agent Johnny Ellis for a true comparison of your personal or business insurance. Ellis Agency Insurance at the Old Cullen Insurance location, 1134 Harrison Avenue, across from Dandy Donuts in Delhi. Call 763-1627.
WGSX Lynn Haven, WVLQ Port St. Joe. Powered by Panama City Toyota.
And that's out of the ballpark.
ESPN, Northwest Florida.
If you're not scanning while the cashier is begging, we're judging you a little.
Why am I working at the grocery store now?
It's the Inside Drive with Ryan and Jay. Live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios at ESPN Northwest Florida.
Sky rockets in flight. Afternoon delight.
And welcome back. You're listening to Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. 104.3 in Panama City Beach, 101.9 in Port St. Joe along the beautiful Forgotten Coast. Always, you can download our free mobile app inside the Google Play or Apple Store. You just need to search 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida, or you can go to ESPNPC.com. We'll talk about our studio sponsor after we get done with Mr. Keith Fleming today. I feel like I haven't heard his voice in a long time, but I am very excited because with him talking a little NFL fantasy in this first segment, that means we're getting closer to the NFL and college football season. Keith, haven't heard from you forever, obviously on the show. Heard from you before that. How the heck you doing?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
No, we're doing good. We're doing good. Talking all sorts of random stuff today, but excited to dive into some action with you today. And I forgot that this week is, I mentioned it earlier, but the Scottish Open is this week, and that's a pretty big event, you know, in the golf world because it's not a PGA Tour event.
Well, technically it's a co-sanctioned event. You know, 2 years ago they changed that up, which has made the fields a lot better. Ironically, it seems to kind of have affected how many players are defecting from the DP World Tour over to the PGA Tour full time. If you look at the amount of young players who normally would be on the DP World Tour, at least early in their career, a lot of those guys like Robert McIntyre, et cetera, moved over in the last 2 years, and I think it's because they've seen there's quite a difference in the level of players on the DP World Tour compared to the PGA.
Gotcha. Are you on Bluetooth, Keith?
Yeah.
Okay.
Does it sound bad?
It's kind of going in and out a little bit, so yeah, it kind of sounds like you're walking down a hallway. If you want to maybe switch off, if you can switch off that way our listeners can hear your valuable information just a little bit easier.
Yeah, let me see if I can take this.
No, absolutely. I'm excited to dive, and I feel, you know, I know a little bit about what you're talking about, and I feel like sometimes you just love to kind of make me feel good about some of my favorite team and my NFL players. So, you know, a little segue action into there, but I think this is going to be the theme going forward. A little half NFL, half golf. As what we're within 100-ish. What's that first day? The 6th or 4th?
Fifth.
Yes,
the 5th.
So it's right after the last golf event for the Tour Championship.
Ah, that's very strategic. Until September, let's see, September 6th. You said 5th. 5th. All right, so 5th is in 57 days. Whew. And college football is a lot less than that. I know that.
44.
So 8 weeks away from actual NFL action. And
you sound
4 weeks
so
away
much
from
better.
preseason. Perfect.
Let's dive into a little NFL. And what are the fantasy football players you're talking about today? What's the theme with today?
So today I want to do guys that I believe are undervalued at their position. For those that are not already drafting yet, I understand your regular leagues probably have not happened. If you're a degenerate like me, and as I've been trying to get Ryan into, best ball drafts are awesome. And they are going on DraftKings and other sites right now. Kind of think of them as DFS, but they're for the entire year, where you put together, an entry. You can do giant ones with thousands of people in it. You can do smaller ones, and it's the entire season. You draft your team. You're absolutely done. From that point on, it's just the optimal lineup with the players you drafted each week, head-to-head versus other people. Bigger tournaments are literally just points scored. but they're a lot of fun. And what I like about them, too, is it gives you a lot of practice for your upcoming draft, like our ESPN Northwest Florida one that will be coming up here in a few weeks. But I went through each position. I did one rookie as well of players that I think that they're undervalued. And I'm not starting with Brock Purdy to kiss your tail, Ryan, I promise.
Fine. I'm okay with it.
He right now is QB 12. And I do not understand this. He finished his first full season last year as a starter, QB6, averaged 19.2 points per game. That followed a rookie season where I'm sure you remember, Ryan, he scored at least 14.8 points or more in every game he started during the regular season. This last year, he scored 15 points or more in 14 of 19 games played. That included the playoffs, 14.7 points or more in 16 of 19. He's one of the most reliable guys in fantasy at the QB position. 9 games with multiple passing touchdowns. Purdy was 5th in passing yards, 3rd in passing touchdowns. This is despite only being 20th in pass attempts and facing pressure on the 10th most dropbacks of any QB in the league. He was first among QBs in yards per attempt, air yards per attempt, deep ball completion percentage, play action completion percentage, true passer rating, QBR, EPA, deep ball catchable pass rating versus man defense. He was top 5 in a bunch of other different categories. I don't understand why people are making him, check down Purdy and all this stuff when all the numbers say the opposite. I think he is an elite talent, and we're learning that, and people are still a year behind.
Yep.
I have no doubt he's going to be a top 10 QB because Shanahan, what are we talking about? I don't like Shanahan because he screwed me in the Super Bowl a few years ago, okay?
I've been not as bad as you, but I've been screwed twice. I don't know if screwed's the right word, but we're still on the up. Yeah.
You got to, but on a week-to-week basis, he is one of the best offensive minds in the game. He's still got all those weapons around him. He's got CMC, he's got Debo, he's got Ayuk. They added Purcell. They've got, Kittle. I think that he's going to, again, be a top 10 QB, and it would not shock me if he's top 5. What's most impressive about him being QB6, he didn't really run a lot. And I love hearing from you. You think he's going to run even more.
Oh, yeah.
Which we did see that in the playoffs. So if he ends up just adding another, say, 100, 200 rushing yards, plus maybe 1 or 2 more rushing touchdowns, he really does have top 5 potential. I think Purdy is being extremely undervalued. He's the QB right now that I'm targeting. The other guy you just want to mention is Jaden Daniels, who I think there's a very legit chance. Like, he's not getting the buzz that Anthony Richardson did last year, and we know Richardson got hurt. But if you remember, Richardson scored so many points. Yeah. I think Daniels, if he stays healthy, worst case, he's going to be like Jalen Hurts. If you remember his first year, he was basically a top 5 QB in points per game, even as a rookie because of the rushing ability. All right, running back.
Real quick, Keith, before you jump into the next one, just want to break down this a little bit more. Do you think that it's the perception, they just don't want him to be good? Do you think that's what it is? I mean, because obviously the reality with the stats and the numbers is there, and I've been high on Brock since he's come in and taken that starting role. But do you think it's just he's not supposed to be good, so they don't want him to be good, so they don't want to give him the credit to be good?
I think it's more of just these elite coaches. People don't want to give the QBs credit. And, Brady, I don't want to compare him to Brady because that's not fair, but that's who he reminds me a lot of. If you look at when he was drafted, kind of his first year, it was a lot of check down stuff. And then Shanahan immediately unleashed him. Brady took several years, but even after Brady started to, really show elite passing numbers, people still wanted to call him a quote-unquote system QB. I just don't think that's fair. And I understand the point that if you look at through Shanahan's history, there's been some quarterbacks looking at you, Jimmy Garoppolo, who have been fantasy relevant, who are not probably, I think, elite talent, from just a physical standpoint at the QB position. But I just think Brock Purdy's that dude. And if you really look what he's accomplished in such a short time, again, literally, he was like the last pick in the draft, right? So,
and he suffered a major injury during his young career so far.
Very, very good point, and he obviously showed that was not a concern. That was the big worry of him last year was he going to throw the ball down the field, with the injuries sustained in the NFC Championship game? And the answer to that was yes. And you can tell that Shanahan has unleashed him And I always talk about that Matt Ryan, his first year, full year in the Shanahan offense. He was good. That second year, he was unbelievable. He was the MVP of the league. And it only makes sense that as Purdy gets more comfortable in this system and as Shanahan gets more comfortable with Purdy, they're going to let him air it out more. And that's only good things are going to happen with the weapons he's got around him.
Well, and when I was talking to you about his mobility, it's not necessarily that they're going to have designed runs for him because I think that's just too big of a risk. It's the scramble ability I think is going to be even better than it was this past year because he's been working on that quite a bit, working out with Patrick Mahomes and other guys like that. And I think especially when you're talking about touchdowns, rushing touchdowns in the goal line area, he can become a legitimate scramble threat that's going to be tough for defenses. And last point, and then I'll let you keep going, is their offensive line should be significantly better this year than it was last year. They had one of the worst offensive lines according to QB pressure. I think he said they were 10th. He got the 10th most pressures.
He had the 10th most pass attempts under pressure, despite the 20th most pass attempts. That's not great. And again, it speaks to how good he was. That he still was one of the top 5 in the league in passing yards and touchdowns and all that stuff, despite facing constant pressure.
Yeah, and first full off season not injured as the starting quarterback, so that's something to be said for that too.
Very high on that offense in general. The running back, and to me, this is one of the most egregious ones. Zamir White is right now running back 22 for the Raiders. He took over last year with 4 weeks remaining on the Raiders' schedule with their bell cow back, and he was that. And there's not a lot of those guys in the league. In those games, he had 21 carries per, averaged just under 100 yards, 99.25, at almost 5 yards per carry, 4.72, averaged 4 red zone touches per. I like he was a little bit more involved in the passing game than I remember. He had over 3 targets, over 2 receptions, had 15 receiving yards per. I don't love the fact he only scored 1 touchdown. Part of that was the Raiders' offense was kind of a mess. I like the addition of Gardner Minshew. I really do. You look at what he did in the Colts offense. I think he's going to stabilize this Raiders offense. He saw 45 of his attempts and 9 of his red zone touches in his last 2 games, so they kept amping him up. And one of my favorite stats is in those 4 games, when facing 8 defenders in the box, which even if you don't believe Gardner Minshew, that would mean he'd see even more of it this year, he rushed for 127 yards and 17 carries. His lone touchdown, and my favorite part of that is 84 of those yards came after contact. He's a bruiser. The Raiders went 3-1 with him as a starter or the engine of their offense, including, remember, that shocking win over the Chiefs. And his only loss was a 3-point loss to the Colts. They had a plus 58, plus or minus, in the games with him, kind of as the engine of their offense. And this offseason, this is why I feel very bullish about White, the Raiders did nothing to say that they don't believe he can be their number 1 back. Antonio Pierce, their head coach, is sort of a throwback, who I expect to run the ball a lot, rely on that defense. The Raiders do have a good defense, and it's only fitting. He's a 6', 215-pound brick wall. His nickname is Zeus. And I think most people forget the talent that he was coming out of high school. 247 Sports, number 1 running back his senior season in the country, 13th highest rated player in the country. Selected UGA over Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Now, sadly, he tore his ACL during the state playoffs of high school, then tore his ACL during spring practices his freshman year at Georgia. But despite that, in the 3 seasons at UGA, 2-time national champion, averaged over 5 yards per carry, tying Herschel Walker. And despite UGA's insane list of running backs, he's 15th in rushing yards all time at UGA and 10th in touchdowns. He's an elite talent who just unfortunately had some bad luck injuries. I think that he is going to have a monster year. And the big thing at running back, I'm always looking for volume.
Yeah.
Are they going to get carries? Are they going to get touches? I'm pretty confident if he stays healthy, he's going to be in the top 5, at worst top 10 running backs in touches this season. And you're getting him as the 22nd running back. I believe in waiting on running backs in general in fantasy draft. He's the kind of guy you can wait on, scoop up, and I think have a legit RB1.
That's a fantastic undervalued running back. I love that one, Keith. That's good stuff.
All right, the wide receiver is another guy that I don't get it. Terry McLaurin, ADP wide receiver 32.
32?
The quarterbacks this guy has caught passes from in his career. Case Keenum, Dwayne Haskins, Colt McCoy, Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, Taylor Heineke, Garrett Gilbert, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Carson Wentz, and Sam Howell. And despite that, every one of his seasons, he's caught at least 58 passes, 919 yards, and at least 4 scores for all 5. He's played all 17 games the last 3 seasons, catching at least 77 passes for 1,000 yards, despite just that trash QB list that I just read to you.
Poor guy. Imagine if he was somewhere else besides there.
He's a legit stud. And you hear other wide receivers talk about it. They mention his name all the time.
Scary,
He
too.
was top 20 the last 3 years in unrealized air yards and total route wins. For his career, he's had at least a 50% contested catch rate, being north of 70% 3 times, and at least a 79% true catch rate, with it being 88% or higher the last 2 years. Meaning basically you get him the ball where he can catch it, he's going to catch the ball. He's a stud, and he's catching passes this year no matter what you think of Jaden Daniels, by far from the best throwing quarterback he's had in his career. McLaurin has excelled at catching passes down the field. And in case you forgot, Jaden Daniels last year at LSU, on passes of 15 yards or more, 53 of 79 for 1,783 yards and 24 touchdowns. I love this marriage. I also, if you want to talk me into Johan Dotson, I'm cool with that as well. But I think Terry McLaurin has the potential to be a top 10, top 12 wide receiver this year. And again, he's going wide receiver 32.
That's insane.
So it's crazy. Like, he's being extremely undervalued. I actually think Washington's offense, and again, this is, Daniels has got to stay healthy, which you've seen. He gets a little risky sometimes when he runs it. He's got to learn in the NFL you can't do that because you'll get your head knocked off. But if he does that, I expect McLaurin to have a monster year, and people are going to be regretting not taking him earlier in fantasy football drafts.
I like that one, too. It's good stuff.
All right, this is not a homer pick, I swear. And I know probably some people have some PTSD, but Kyle Pitts, ADP 6 at tight end.
Hey, he's got Captain Kirk thrown to him now.
I like him
Kirk loves
significantly more than Mark Andrews, Sam Laporta, and Dalton Kincaid, all going before him right now. And the main reason is opportunity. Those offenses, like, I'm worried about Andrews with his health and his age. His numbers have declined. Laporta, I just look at it, it's going to be a regression year. That Lions offense has so many weapons. We saw how much Gibbs got involved late in the season. I think Jameson Williams is going to be a breakout guy this year. And I like Dalton Kincaid, but he didn't even put up any monster games. He consistently caught passes, and we've seen from Kyle Pitts through his career, even with just garbage QBs the last 2 years, he has the ability to have these big games. The big issue has just been the QB play has been awful. He was first among tight ends in unrealized air yards each of the last 2 seasons. One of those 2 seasons, he only played 10 games. So, again, that shows how off kind of the QB play has been. His rookie year, which was by far his best season, by far the best QB he's had, and that was an aging Matt Ryan, who, remember, was out of the league a year later. He caught 68 passes for 1,000 yards. And you just mentioned the big thing. Kirk Cousins loves throwing to tight ends. Since 2015, among QBs, he's thrown the most passing attempts to tight ends, the 4th most passing yards, 59 touchdowns. Some of the tight ends that Cousins has made fantasy relevant include Kyle Rudolph, Jordan Reed, and Tyler Conklin. Not exactly guys that you consider elite talents like Kyle Pitts is. He's 2 years removed from a knee injury, which I always love when these athletic guys are 2 full years removed from a knee injury. And he's now on an offense known for playing their tight end one on 95% plus of the offensive plays and running routes on 90% plus of the passing plays. So I expect Pitts to be one of the most targeted guys in the NFL at tight end. Atlanta's offense is going to go from one that ran the ball at one of the highest rates in the league to probably one of the teams that passed the ball as much as any team in the league. And unfortunately, our defense is still going to suck. So we're going to be down a lot, forced to throw. I love both Pitts and London this year. Same thing for Bijan. I think all 3 are being undervalued. Then real quickly, the rookie, I just want to mention another UGA guy, but Ladd McConkey, his ADP among rookies is 10th. He's wide receiver 42. I've been called a Ladd truther. That's fine. I'll take that. It's just the fact that he was drafted by the Chargers on top of the talent that I've seen watching him at UGA the last few years. It really shocked me to see him run a 4.39. I knew that he was an elite route runner, and that's why he was wide open a lot of times. I did not think he had that top level of high-end speed. I love at UGA he lined up inside. He lined up outside. They used him in motion. And in 39 games, he had 119 receptions, almost 1,700 yards, 14 touchdowns. Shows his ability to just make plays with 13 rush attempts with 216 yards and 4 touchdowns. So that's a touchdown on 13.6% of his touches in college. And in Ladd's final 3 games before his injury, which was by far with the best QB he had played with, because no offense to my boy Stetson, not exactly an elite guy, 17 receptions, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's almost 19 yards per reception. He has also excelled in big games and big moments. He had 102 yards and 2 touchdowns in their first national title win. That same season against number 1 Tennessee at their 5 catches, 94 yards and a touchdown. He always shows up. And then again, this Chargers offense, they've lost 60% since Justin Herbert's been the quarterback this year of the receivers and pass catchers he's thrown passes to, caught passes from, receiving yards, and receiving touchdowns. I think he's the best receiver on this Chargers offense. And if you look at it, Keenan Allen averaged 16 to 21 points with Herbert as the QB in their 4 full seasons together. Mike Evans averaged 10 to 16 points per game with Herbert as the QB together. Herbert can make fantasy studs at wide receiver. I think Ladd's going to be a real breakout, and he's being extremely undervalued, whether that's dynasty, standard leagues, etc. Go out and get Ladd McConkey, and you can thank me later.
There you go. Kind of still wild to think about that Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are not on the Chargers anymore.
And Austin Eckler, which is the other part of it, which is a big pass-catching part of their offense.
It's the Harbaugh way, I guess. Who knows? But, man, after all that, now you got my wheels turning. I'm ready for some NFL football, that's for sure.
I'm so excited, man.
It's going to be awesome. Keith, that was great stuff. We appreciate the NFL fantasy action there on the undervalued players. When we get back from the break, it's time to talk about the Genesis Scottish Open. You're listening to the Inside Drive. Keith Fleming on the line. We'll be right back.
America's team plays here.
And a rocket to right field. This thing is into orbit.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Acuna, Ozzie, and Austin Riley lead the Braves' high-powered offense.
Swung on, belted, deep right field. Get out of here, Ozzie. Home run. Ball game.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida is sponsored by Brock's Pest Control. Store more portable buildings, reliable hydraulic solutions. Bill Bird Kia and Mid-South Lumber.
Good afternoon. This is Joanna with your weather forecast from ESPN Northwest Florida on this Wednesday. A possibility of thunderstorms and some sun the remainder of the day with a wind around 13 miles per hour coming out of the west-southwest and 87. Tonight, look for partly cloudy skies with a temperature near 81. Tomorrow, a high around 90 and a variety of some sun and a chance of thunderstorms. This weather forecast is sponsored by Mid-South Lumber, the best little lumber yard in Panama City. Thank you for listening to ESPN Northwest Florida. Rely on it.
Is your restaurant looking a little tired from the long off season? Is your office a little offish? Start the new year off right by giving them a fresh start. Fresh Start Cleaning is now accepting new clients. Ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services. Fresh Start Cleaning. Get clean again with Fresh Start. Call 850-771-6917, 771-6917, and ask about their complimentary hood cleaning services.
It's time to pick your path and go big and go bold from Bill Bird Kia. You can drive away in a brand new 2024 Telluride from Bill Bird Kia. The 2024 Telluride protects what matters, and it's built for the long haul. Its technology will connect with confidence, and its upscale, all-around rugged look will take you on to the next adventure. The road is yours. Bill Bird Kia, the home of the 20-year, 200,000-mile warranty. Stop by and see us today at 2435 East 15th Street or BillBirdKia.com.
Broadcasting from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine Outdoor Studios. He gives out raw scallops and Time magazines for Halloween. Jay is part of the Inside Drive. ESPN Northwest Florida.
And we are back. You listen to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. Not all of our rejoiners are lies, but that one over the last 4 or 5 weeks certainly is one, that's for sure. But As much as we love NFL football, the golf season is not over yet, and there's a big event coming up this weekend. A lot of the top players in the world will play in the Genesis Scottish Open to prepare for the Open Championship, which is the last major of the year, and we're going to be in the playoffs before we know it. All right, Keith, let's dive right into it. The Scottish Open is set to get underway tomorrow.
Yeah, I mentioned at the start that this is the third edition since they made this both a PGA Tour, DP World Tour kind of co-sponsored event. It makes sense because this falls the week before the Open Championship. These guys want to, get their reps on link-style courses before they play the Open. You look at it, it's been a success. Xander won it 2 years ago. Rory won it last year. Pretty loaded field. If you look at it, most of the top players on the PGA Tour are there, minus Scotty Scheffler, who announced immediately that he would not be playing from the U.S. Open into the Open Championship. And then the other is Patrick Cantlay, who I guess is dealing with an injury. There's a few other PGA Tour guys, Tony Finau, Russell Henley, Keegan, the new Ryder Cup captain, and Akshay Bhatia are also missing. Rory's the defending champ. His first appearance since just a heartbreaking loss at the U.S. Open at Pinehurst. Other defending champs, Xander, Aaron Rai, and Minwoo Lee, are all in the field as well. We're at the Renaissance Club. This is a modern Scottish Links course. It's only been around since 2008, designed by Tom Doak, who has done a bunch of really good courses over in Europe. This venue has hosted events on the DP World Tour, the European Senior Tour, the Ladies European Tour. This is the sixth consecutive Scottish Open held here. But I would really lean into, if you're looking past results, at the last three, because the fields have been so much stronger since it's been a PGA co-sanctioned event. Weather, I know this is a no-duh, but it's going to play a huge factor here. You look, Xander won this event in 2022, which was the worst weather since they've had this event here. Yeah. So the winning score that week was -7. Last year was kind of a mixed bag. You saw Rory at -15, but like Aaron Rai won this event in the best of conditions at -22. So it's really going to depend on the weather, kind of what the scoring is.
And remember to get in your lineup now, because this is 5-6 hours ahead of us.
I appreciate you saying it. Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 in the morning is actually when they tee off tomorrow. So that's a great point. It's a par 70 course, kind of an unusual mix for what we're used to seeing. There's 3 par 5s, 5 par 3s, 10 par 4s, typical link-style courses. Normally they play firm, negating length as an advantage. I think of like Brian Harman, right, winning the Open Championship last year. However, this venue has 3 reachable par 5s, a drivable par 4, 6 other par 4s that play over 450 yards. Longer hitters have found success over the years. 2021, there was a 3-way playoff. Minwoo Lee, Matthew Fitzpatrick, Thomas Dietrich, they all 3 ranked inside the top 30 in driving distance that week. Both of the last 2 years, 11 of the top 15 finishers were above average in driving distance for the week. So I did lean into that. For the key stats overall, I looked at strokes gained approach, strokes gained off the tee, obviously driving distance that I just mentioned. Par 3 scoring, really difficult set of 5 par 3s are going to play a big factor this week. You've got to eat those par 5s, so I looked at par 5 scoring, 550 to 600 yards. Looked at par 4 scoring on 450 to 500 yards. And then the 2 big ones for me, strokes gained putting on slow greens, because we know some guys, especially these Americans, really struggle on how slow these greens are because of the winds. They can't cut them down because the ball literally would not sit in place. Yep. And these are massive green complexes, so I looked at 3-putt avoidance a good bit. For course comps, I looked at UK, Ireland courses, and then course history at this venue. So for the official DK lineup, I'm starting with Rory McIlroy. I'm spending the money. He's $11,900. I think Rory's going to come out and ball this week. He's really good in a lot of areas that have historically played out for players here. He's second in strokes gained off the tee his last 24 rounds, first in total strokes gained course history for this venue, first in strokes gained total for UK Ireland courses over the last 36 rounds. He's first in driving distance. He's first in strokes gained tee to green the last 24 rounds. And he's one of 9 players in the field, and this was a big one that I used on a lot of guys. It's top 30 in both par 4s that play 450 to 500 yards and par 5s that play 550 to 600 yards. And then again, he won this event last year. Next up, Minwoo Lee, 9,200. He's 28 to 1 to win, plus 550 to top 5. He won this event in 2021. Again, a guy that hits it a long way. 4th in driving distance, 2nd in total driving, 7th total strokes gained course history at this venue. I love that he's 12th in par 5 scoring, 10th in 3-putt avoidance, and he's playing really well. He was a runner-up in his last start at the Rocket Mortgage and has finished 26 or better in 6 straight starts. My favorite play this week by far is Robert McIntyre, 7,800. He's 45 to 1 to win. He was the hometown kid, 9 to 1 to top 5, 4 to 1 to top 10. I think that's great value on all of those. Last year, Rory kind of broke the hearts of all of the locals as he came back. Remember, beat Robert McIntyre with that crazy, I think, 2-iron that he hit on the 18th hole to like 4 feet. So he's back. McIntyre, 5th in total strokes gained course history. He is one of those 9 players, top 30 in par 4s, 450, 500, and par 5s, 550 to 600. 6th in strokes gained total in UK Ireland courses. And after a really slow start to this season, he's got 4 top 16 finishes plus his Canadian win in the last 7 starts. He also has played really well on link-style courses. He has 2 top 10 finishes in his young career at the Open Championship. I think he's an extreme value. Same thing for Byung-Hun An, who's 7,600. He's 55 to 1 to win, plus 500 to top 10. He's a guy who finished 3rd here last year. He has 2 top 5 finishes in his last 6 starts on tour. Another guy hits it a mile, 3rd in driving distance. He's 3rd in the field in total strokes gained at Renaissance Club. And he is 24 strokes gained tee to green this season on the PGA Tour, 16 strokes gained off the tee. He has seemed to excel on courses where it's more important that you drive the ball well and just don't make mistakes on the greens rather than the greens being a real factor. You have to putt lights out to be in contention. Next up, Thomas Dietrich, who was 7,200 this week. He's 55 to 1 to win, plus 500 to top 10. He's top 20 in this field in driving distance. He hits it plenty far enough. He's top 10 in strokes gained putting on slow greens, 6th in strokes gained putting overall this season, 28th in 3-putt avoidance, which again, it's going to be so big with these huge greens not to just give bogeys away and get greens in regulation. 11th in par 3 scoring. And he's got 6 top 15 finishes this season, including 2 majors, which are other deep fields. And again, just a great history at this track. He finished 10th in the 2022 Scottish Open, runner-up in the 2021, losing in a playoff. Not leaving me a lot of money for that last selection in the official lineup. So I'm going with Victor Perez, the Frenchman. He's 6,300, plus 850 to top 10, plus 450 to top 20. He finished 35th in his 2nd start at this venue last year. He's 2nd on tour with 3-putt avoidance, 34th in scoring average adjusted. He gets a ton of greens in red, 38th on tour in green and regulation percentage, 30th in total eagles. And he's got 2 top 5s on the PGA Tour this season, so I like putting him in the lineup. A few other options real quickly. I do like Tommy Fleetwood this week. He's 9,900 on DK, 20 to 1 to win, plus 400 to top 5. Somebody who just excels on these links courses. He's 4th in course history at this venue, 4th in strokes gained total on UK Ireland courses, and has finished 6th and 4th the last 2 years at this event. Jay's not here, but his boy Victor Hovland is one of my picks, 9,700. He's 22 to 1 to win. He is, since he's gone back to his old coach, striking the ball very well. He plays well in strong fields. 5th in strokes gained off the tee his last 24 rounds. His driving the ball is really a huge factor on these links courses. Christian Buzenhout is another guy, 7,500. He's 11 to 1 to top 5, 5 to 1 to top 10. I love that he's 3rd in strokes gained putting on slow greens his last 24 rounds. He is not a great putter. He seems to excel on these slow greens. That's a good thing. Finished 16th at the 2022 Scottish Open. And then if you're looking for somebody really cheap, Callum Hill, 5,900. He's 6 to 1 to top 20, plus 330 to top 30. He's another Scottish kid. He's finished 26 or better in 2 of his 3 starts at this event, including, most importantly, a 25th last year. You know, in this field with a lot more stars from the PGA Tour. Hometown kid, a lot of experience and knowledge on this course. And one other guy I didn't mention in my official plays in my article, but Brian Harman does very well on these open links courses. I believe he's 8,800 on DK this week. I have him in a few DK lineups. Anytime I see a course where it's imperative to hit fairways, and Brian Harman is so good on and around these link style greens, I always have to give them a consideration.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is where you're playing in a completely different area, completely different environment, completely different style of golf courses. So it's such a stark difference between, playing on traditional American courses versus going on these links courses in Scotland and Ireland. And that's why this field is so deep, in my opinion. Not only is it a big event, the Scottish Open, but it preparing a lot of these people to make that adjustment to play in the Open Championship, which is, I believe, played at Royal Troon this year. So it's a kind of you hate to say a golf tournament is a warm-up event, but for a lot of these guys, it's getting acclimated with the time change. It's getting acclimated with the different weather, the different style of grasses, all those different things. So Scottish Open, traditionally a very fun, intense event to watch, no doubt.
And in a lot of ways, this course is similar. I know it's going to sound crazy to Pinehurst. So if guys had success at Pinehurst, I kind of like that correlation here. It's another course that you got hazards and stuff everywhere. Some of the bunkers you can get out of, no problem. Other bunkers you get in, you're just dead, and you have to wedge out, literally 20 yards out of it and go from there. It's kind of similar in that way. And also those greens were, as you saw, they're so massive that it's really more about three-putt avoidance, making the short putts that you need to make, and then not compounding mistakes by making three putts to make bogeys or doubles or worse.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to ask you, the Ryder Cup captain was announced yesterday, Keegan Bradley. I love the pick. What are your thoughts, Keith?
I love it. I do. Did you see the Xander comments? That was one of the more shocking things I've seen in a long time, where when they asked him about it, he went out of his way to say that Keegan would know when to get the guys together, when not to, when to practice, when to be ready. And then what really bothered me was he said that, maybe not overdo it with 2-3 dinners with the whole team together, which just speaks to the issue with the Americans. They don't like each other. They just do not like each other.
Yeah.
And you see that in the Ryder Cup. And that's why the Europeans just beat our brains out every year. They embrace it. They love the team aspect. And part of it is just the way American golf has been brought up, right? That it's an individual sport. You're only working out for yourself. But I do have a real issue with these guys. Like, God forbid you have to eat dinner with your fellow Americans when you're playing for your country. It's just, I do, though, think that Keegan is a perfect hire and the kind of player that they need, because Zach Johnson's not really well liked. Some of their guys that they've had, they have wet person. Exactly. And Keegan is actually somebody who's very well liked on tour. It was brutal to watch him go through finding out on the full swing. That was hard to watch. And I do want to give, the powers that be credit for righting that wrong and allowing him to be the captain, especially because it looks like he's not going to make it on the team by himself this year. My bigger issue with the Ryder Cup as a whole right now is they've got to start picking these LIV guys. For Bryson DeChambeau to not be on the team is absolutely outrageous. He is somebody that would excel in match play, and he is somebody that really cares about this stuff. And to leave him off just because he's quote-unquote on another tour, do we want to win this thing or do we not?
Funny you bring up that particular topic there, Keith, as in the press conference yesterday afternoon, as Bradley was introduced as the U.S. captain for this year's Ryder Cup team, which is going to be played in an awesome venue, Bethpage Black. The atmosphere is going to be second to none. Of course, the media asked him how his approach would be towards LIV golf. Would he pick players from the 3-season-old Saudi-backed, of course it's Saudi-backed, that has fought with the PGA Tour? Last year, ahead of the biennial event, we thought his predecessor would have. Yes, did he take Brooks Koepka? Absolutely. But were there other LIV players that he should have? Probably. So would Bradley go to LIV events to scout? Last year, his predecessor, Zach Johnson, the wet noodle, did not. Bradley said he would, though, and he wouldn't shy away from LIV selections. 3 times in response to a question on how he would handle LIV players, he noted a qualification for his team's makeup: best players. I'm going to have the 12 best players on the team, Bradley said. I don't care where they play, so we have a mission to win this tournament. I'm not worried about the LIV stuff. I want the best players on the team.
That makes me ecstatic to hear. And what I love about Keegan, he's a guy that, obviously all these guys are uber talented, but he's not, at the top of God-giving abilities, and he's had this wonderful career. He's won a major. he's a dog, right? And
Yeah.
that's what the Ryder Cup misses. Is like the Americans don't have enough of like those Ian Poulter type players that the European teams to have 3 or 4 of every year that just all they want to do is win. They're uber competitive guys, and I love that we have a guy back leading our team that, you know, he wants to win at all costs. And to your point, I didn't realize it was Bethpage Black. That atmosphere is going to be insane. I do feel a little bad for the Europeans because I know they're going to be over the line, but hey, it is what it is. And I hope that they, you know, really set up the venue, which is another thing the Europeans have done better than the Americans historically, to, you know, highlight the Americans' best qualities and really hit the issues that Europeans struggle with. And we haven't done a good enough job of that to where the Europeans, you know, it's like with the slow greens and issues like that, they kind of take driver away from players.
Yep.
We need to make it a bomb and gouge fest on super fast greens because that's what our players excel in.
Absolutely. And I think you're going to see that at one of the most difficult golf courses in America. No doubt about that. And I think I'm right with you. I think the atmosphere may be crossing the line a few times, but you know what? That's what it's all about in Ryder Cup competition. I think Keegan's already off to a better start in his captaincy one day into it than Zach Johnson ever was during his entire. I'm not trying to hate on Zach Johnson. It's just the captain is such an important part of the Ryder Cup's team's morale. Just your camaraderie, your culture, all that is so important. And I think Keegan's one that can really. And I was so glad to see him.
You surprised Tiger turned it down? Because that was where in the report that Keegan kind of out of nowhere became the guy. Was Tiger was earmarked, and he said, look, I did as a player captain of the President's Cup. I'm good. I was a little surprised because I thought that was something Tiger wanted to add to his legacy, but I guess at this point he wants to wait.
I did read Tiger's response earlier today. I don't have it exactly in front of me, but it was something along the lines of he's got too much going on with the PGA Tour and the current state of golf, and he doesn't feel like he can give everything he needs to give to the Ryder Cup. Let me ask you this, Keith, and I know you're a big Tiger Woods guy, and this is just a hypothetical kind of question. Do you think Tiger Woods would be a good captain for the Ryder Cup team? I know he's probably arguably the greatest golfer of all time, the most individual accomplishments of all time. Didn't have the greatest Ryder Cup career as a player, but how do you think the players would respond to him around him as a captain? I mean, he is Tiger Woods and everybody loves him.
Well, I was going to say, if this would have been 10 years ago, I think he would have made a terrible Ryder Cup captain. I think now where he seems to have embraced and really been more willing to reach out, give these younger players advice. I think because he looks at it now, it's not competition. I think even Tiger realizes now that his days of, competing in golf tournaments is probably over, except for maybe, the rare miracle maybe that will happen one more time, something like that. So I think actually it would really motivate, because think about it, all the guys, or the majority of them that are playing on the team, I'm sure they grew up, right, idolizing this guy.
Yep.
The only thing that would concern me is the pressure, right, because there's already so much pressure, and then it maybe feels like you're letting down, like your childhood hero. But I actually think, Woods, they say he's, actually kind of like Belichick. Behind the scenes, he's not this button-up guy who likes to let loose and have fun. And again, I think that's kind of what's missing a lot of times in these Ryder Cups, is they try to treat it like a business, and this is not a business event. It's just like the number guest, right, at your local club. It's usually a pair that are out there having a good time that end up winning that thing. It doesn't hurt if they're sandbaggers. Don't get me wrong. I know how these tournaments work. But they usually have a good time. And it's, the more pressure and stuff you put on yourself and take it serious in a team atmosphere, it rubs off not only you but on your teammates and just brings everybody down.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. His exact quote was, with my new responsibilities to the tour and time commitments involved, I feel like I would not be able to commit the time to Team USA and the players required as a captain. And I think that's fair, because it really does require everything you've got during this whole tenure to lead up to it. But Keith...
And he's caddying for Charlie and a bunch of events and stuff. Yeah.
He's trying to... Hopefully he's now, like you said, he's kind of switched from the player role to now, how can I help the game of golf? And, I think down the road, he definitely, maybe 2027, he'll be the Ryder Cup captain, but we shall see. Keith, every time I turn around and look on social media, you're on another podcast doing this and that. Tell everybody where they can find your information besides Wednesdays at 12 here on the Inside Drive.
Well, I do love to talk, Ryan. And I got a lot of opinions about a lot of things. But,
that too, yes.
You can find me on Twitter at Keith Fleming. That's KeithFleming. All my stuff is there, but already doing fantasy football content for both Fantasy Six Pack, which is where my golf content is as well, and Fantasy and Frames, including Thursday nights. We had the Fantasy Football Weekly Show at 8 p.m. on Fantasy and Frames, followed by the Draft Show with Stacey Perez, which is just a lot of fun where we get together, do a best ball draft, different kinds of drafts. We talk through it. We actually literally live draft during it for these events and have a blast doing so. So check that out. And don't worry, me and Joe Matz will be back doing our DFS show for both Fantasy Six Pack and Fantasy and Frames starting week 1 all the way through the NFL season.
Right around the corner. Keith, we appreciate your time as always. Enjoy the Scottish Open this week, and I think Jay will be here next week. The rumors have it. We'll find out. We appreciate you coming on.
How much vacation can somebody like Jay have is what I want to know.
I don't think he's vacation. Well, he did go up to Atlanta there for a little bit, but I think he's inspiring the youths of the future golfers of America, and I think this is his last junior camp of the summer as we're getting ever so close to school starting. But Keith, as always, love having you on. Appreciate it, man, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, take care. See you, David.
See you, bud.
All right, you guys are listening to the Inside Drive. Final segment coming up when we get back from the break.
America's team plays here.
Swing and a miss. Struck him out. That's number 10.
The Atlanta Braves on ESPN Northwest Florida. Charlie Morton, Max Fried, and Chris Sale lead the Braves' dominant pitching rotation.
That's 18 up, 18 down.
Sponsored by Panama City Toyota, Ellis Agency Insurance, Bestway Portable Buildings, PCB Hobby, and ESPN Northwest Florida.
Got him swinging, strike 3.
Love a great deal? This is the big one. The Big One sales event is going on now, and you can get 3.99% APR plus 90 days until you make your first payment on Camry's new elevated design. Make every drive count and get 2.99% on the stylish Corolla. Rule every adventure and get 2.99% on a new RAV4. Or enjoy the power and get 1.99% on the tough Tundra. Come see us for the big one at Panama City Toyota.
Offer ends July 31st. Visit PanamaCityToyota.com for details.
You owe the IRS back taxes, and dealing with the IRS stresses you out. Fortunately, IRS Problem Relief can help you resolve back taxes and represent you to the IRS so you don't have to face them alone. Last year, IRS Problem Relief saved clients drowning in tax debt, and IRS Problem Relief is a local company right here in Panama City, not some 800 number where you can never talk to the same person twice. Put those problems behind you so you can focus on moving forward. Call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief, 850-784-8176. For a free consultation, call Edward Corey with IRS Problem Relief. It's 850-784-8176 or visit irsproblemrelief.com.
For the Inside Drive with Ryan Mulvey and Jay Henley.
This man is destroying golf.
Broadcasting live from the Bill Kramer Chevrolet Buick GMC and Kramer Marine and Outdoor Studios.
You may be right, but our ratings are up and we're attracting new youthful sponsors.
ESPN Northwest Florida.
And welcome back. You're listening to the Inside Drive live here on ESPN Northwest Florida. NFL DFS stuff gets me excited. It's right around the corner. And I just remembered in that break that something is, you can watch it now actually, because Netflix doesn't have time. They just release it during the day. And a lot of you remember it was either last year or 2 years ago. Last year. Wow, it was good. They had Quarterback on Netflix. It was just a great in-depth look. I believe it was Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, and who was the third one?
Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, that's right. Kermit the Frog. All three of them. And there's just cool to see the behind the scenes and really what goes into each and every day. And now out on Netflix, as of today, it's the Netflix series Receiver. That's going to feature the 2003 seasons of Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. The only thing I'm not looking forward to is the very last episode when the Niners don't win the Super Bowl. But
that'll be one of the best ones.
Yeah, there you go. But it'd be interesting to see that NFC Championship game. how the teams were, like when the Lions got up so big, and not like what were they talking about? What was some, because that's real life stuff you can kind of use and do things like that. But, you know, they got 5 different guys they're following, and I know Travis Kelce turned down receiver, but that saves us a lot of Taylor Swift content.
Oh my gosh, yeah. You're
So,
right about that.
Blessing in disguise on that one, that's for sure. But I'm definitely excited about this one. What do you think, David? You like kind of seeing the behind the scenes stuff of these documentaries?
Yeah, I enjoy it. I think I watched like the first or second episode, or first 2 episodes of Quarterback last year.
Okay. I guess say receiver already. It's like, dang.
Yeah, no, just it's one of those things where if I don't, stay on top of it, then I don't end up finishing it. But yeah, I enjoyed the first few episodes of Quarterback last year, and I'll try to see how much of receiver I can watch. Maybe I'll try to catch back up on Quarterback as well.
Yeah, there you go. There you guys. I'm with you too. Like if I don't make a huge dent in that first time, then it's I'll kick it down the road a little bit and jump back into it. But a lot of stuff being released as of right now. A couple before we talk a little bit about these 2 big games coming up this afternoon and this evening. This is just kind of silly, and this is our current state of politics for the President of the United States of America.
Oh boy.
Yes, and again, this we should be focusing on so many other things that are detrimental to the people like us that are just trying to get through each day. But Trump challenged Biden to a $1 million charity golf match and will spot Joe Biden 20 strokes in it. He said it'll be among the most watched sporting events in history. Maybe bigger than the Ryder Cup or even the Masters. I don't think so, Trump. But you know what? What a good way to raise some money for charity. But I don't think it's going to happen. But I don't know. Just that's where we are with politics in America. We're challenging our opponents to golf matches and bringing up their handicaps during debates.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know. But, hey, maybe if we have somebody that challenges them and wins, they can do that afterwards. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't think I'd watch that.
No, probably not.
No.
You don't want to watch the golf match there at Trump Terrell or something like that?
No, I don't think I'd be interested in that. I enjoy watching the matches. Like, if they were to pair them up with other golfers.
Oh, yeah. No, there's not a bad idea. There's not a bad idea. But yeah.
Quarterbacks. Ooh. Or have, like, foursomes to where it would be, like, Tom Brady, Biden, make it even more, split down the line where they have to be on the same party lines or whatever.
Yeah.
So you got, like a Democratic quarterback, Joe Biden, really spice things up and then get you a Democratic commentator along with a Republican commentator, and just don't even commentate on golf. Just talk about what's going on in the world of politics. That'll be a great way to keep me out of it.
Yep, there you go, because it really doesn't matter, and all we can do is one thing, and does that even really matter? I don't know, but you know what does matter, David Hayes?
Argentina counted all their votes by hand, and they had 27 million votes, and they got it done in less than 6 hours.
Man, that's a lot of hands.
Yeah, Elon Musk posted it on Twitter.
That's impressive. That's like Doc A getting all the brackets for the March Madness and doing them by hand. There's so much stuff you could do nowadays, and I get it's the tradition, but that just seems like. But maybe he just loves it, and if he loves it, good for him.
What do we got? 380 million people.
Yeah,
in this country,
something like that, and usually only 20% of them.
Well, 380 million documented.
Yes. There's a couple other 100,000, but that's neither here nor there. What is here nor there is coming up at 2 p.m., a little over an hour from now, and that is the Netherlands and England in the European Championship semifinal, with a trip to play Spain this Sunday in the European Championship. Let me pull up Hard Rock and see where we're at. I do know some stats from the Euros. Goals scored per game, very close. 1.33 for the Dutch and 1.00 for the English. Goals conceded per game, Netherlands has given up quite more than England, and they've given up 1.33 goals per game. That's 14th in the Euros, whereas England is only allowed 0.5 goals per game. That ranks them 4th in the Euro competition. Possession is pretty much even. Both about have the same shots on goal per game, 3.33 to 3.50 field tilt, about exactly the same as well. Right now, pretty close out there if you want to bet on some soccer. Netherlands are plus 220 to win. This is in the regular time, plus 175 for England in the regular time, and a tie is plus 170. May not be a bad bet to bet the tie in regulation today, how even these teams match up. And then the actual official line, which is to advance, Netherlands are plus 100 and England is minus 120. So one of the more closer as far as odds are concerned matchups that I've seen in the Euro knockout stages.
I tell you what, Max got Argentina, Canada spot on. He had it 2-0.
Nice.
And it was 2-0. I think I want to go 2-2 tie here. And the Netherlands moves on.
In PKs?
PKs.
Ooh, all the way through 2-2.
Yeah.
So is it 2-2 before extra time?
Yeah, 2-2 before extra time.
And I was listening to the announcers. It was either yesterday or one of the games, and they were talking about, should they just go right from regular time to PKs? Because it seems like in extra time, nobody ever scores because they're playing not to allow a goal, almost like waiting for
Did
PKs.
England beat Switzerland before PKs? No, they had PKs.
And I'm sure there has been, but that was just one of the topics. It just seems like when there's so much on the line, when you get to extra time, they play not to lose, essentially.
I think majority of soccer fans would prefer to have the 15 and 15 there. Yeah. I like that you have the differences in the Copa and the Euros, right? Where Copas you go straight to PKs, and in Euros you've got the 2 periods of extra time there. Max brought up a good point though. Like Uruguay got the red card in like the 71st minute the other day playing against Brazil, and in a situation like that, you would like to see a few more minutes of extra time. Me personally, as someone who was pulling for Uruguay, I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it perfectly to work out that way.
A little more opportunity there, that's for sure. And speaking of Copa America and Uruguay and Colombia, with a trip to play Argentina and Lionel Messi on
that one's close too.
Yeah, the 2 great games on today. I think we knew a little bit more about Argentina beating Canada yesterday, but currently in the regular time, Uruguay is plus 170, slight favorite over Colombia, plus 210, who beat Panama 5-0 in the quarterfinal game. Tie is plus 170, and so yeah, like you said, it goes right to PK. So that's your betting lines right there.
Give me the U.
The U. And they've won it, I think, 4 or 5 total times in the history of Copa America. So 2 great games on. That one's going to come on at 7 p.m. Uruguay has scored 3 goals per game. They are first, and Colombia has scored 2 goals per game. They are second. So 2 great offensives matching up against one another in this one. Goals conceded per game, 0.33 for Uruguay and 0.67 for Colombia. That ranks them second and sixth. Possessions pretty much the same. They both kind of controlled the possession in the game. Shots on goal per game, crazy amount here from Uruguay, 6.67, second in Copa America, and Colombia right there near the top at 4.67 shots on goal per game. Not shots per game, but shots on goal per game. You like Uruguay in this one?
Yeah, I'm going with the U, man.
What's your final score prediction there?
Give me 3-1.
3-1? Uruguay? I like that. I'm going to go 2 high-powered offenses. I'm going to go, I'm going to go 2-1 Uruguay.
That makes more sense.
And then,
Mine are highly optimistic scores.
Well, that's what was exciting about the afternoon game yesterday is you had 3 goals in the first 30 minutes of the game, and you don't see that very often. So,
and then nothing after that.
And then nothing after that. Kind of flipped the script. All right, so I got 2-1 Uruguay. You got 3-2 or 3-1?
3-1.
3-1. And then on Euro Cup, you had the Netherlands in PKs.
Yeah.
And you said 2-2 in regular. I'm going to go with the English in this one. They win it 2-1 in regular time.
Ooh, nice.
We shall find out. Afternoon Underdogs coming up at 4 p.m. We'll be back tomorrow at 11 a.m. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday. We'll see you guys tomorrow.
Next evolution in sports talk radio. We're back! On 104.3 ESPN Northwest Florida. The Afternoon Underdog.
Hello.
The only live afternoon show in Panama City.